History isn't just a collection of dates and names. It's a record of human experience at its highest peaks and its darkest valleys. Today, we're examining 10 events that fundamentally altered the course of civilization. These aren't just statistics on a page. They're stories of suffering, resilience, and transformation that echo through the centuries. We remember these tragedies not to sensationalize them, but to understand how profoundly they shape the world we inhabit today. Number 10. The Fall of Constantinople, May 29th, 1453. When Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II's forces finally breached the legendary walls of Constantinople after a 53-day siege, more than a city fell. The Byzantine Empire, the last remnant of Rome itself, ended after over 1,000 years. Between 4,000 and 30,000 people died in the assault, with approximately 50,000 survivors enslaved. But here's what makes this tragedy historically pivotal. Greek scholars fleeing the fallen city carried classical knowledge westward, helping to ignite the Renaissance. One civilization's end became another's rebirth. Number 9. The 2004 Indian Ocean Tsunami. On December 26, 2004, a massive earthquake off Sumatra's coast triggered waves reaching up to 30 meters high. With virtually no warning systems in place, the tsunami killed between 227,000 and 230,000 people across 14 countries. Indonesia suffered the heaviest losses, with 167,000 deaths. The tragedy exposed critical gaps in disaster preparedness for the world's poorest regions and led directly to the establishment of the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning System in 2006, potentially saving countless lives in future disasters. Number 8. The Chernobyl disaster, April 26, 1986. When Reactor 4 at Ukraine's Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded during a safety test, it released radiation that spread across Europe. 31 firefighters and plant workers died immediately, but estimates of long-term cancer deaths from radiation exposure range from 4,000 to 93,000. 350,000 people were evacuated, and approximately 150,000 square kilometers remain contaminated. Here's something remarkable. The exclusion zone has become an accidental wildlife sanctuary where animal populations now thrive despite lingering radiation. The disaster also accelerated the Soviet Union's collapse by exposing systemic failures that Glasnost could no longer hide. Number 7. The Great Famine in Ireland, 1845 to 1852. When potato blight destroyed Ireland's staple crop, approximately 1 million people died from starvation and disease, while another million emigrated. Ireland's population plummeted by 20 to 25% from its pre-famine level of 8.5 million. But here's the tragedy within the tragedy. British colonial policies continued food exports even as the Irish starved. Ireland produced enough food during those years to feed its population multiple times over, making this a political catastrophe masquerading as a natural disaster. The famine created a global Irish diaspora that profoundly influenced nations like the United States, Canada, and Australia. Number 6. The Armenian Genocide, 1915 to 1923. Beginning on April 24, 1915, the Ottoman Empire's Young Turks regime orchestrated the systematic murder of 1 to 1.5 million Armenians, approximately half the Ottoman Armenian population. Death marches into the Syrian desert, mass shootings, and deliberate starvation campaigns destroyed the ancient Armenian community in Anatolia. This genocide established patterns that would recur in later 20th century atrocities. Turkey's continued denial of the genocide remains controversial, though international recognition has grown, including official United States acknowledgement in 2021. Number 5. the Rwandan genocide of 1994. In just 100 days, between April and July, 800,000 to 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus were slaughtered. The genocide began on April 6th, following President Habyarimana's plane crash, triggering a coordinated campaign by Hutu extremist militias. Radio broadcasts incited ordinary citizens to murder their neighbors with machetes and crude weapons. The speed and scale were shocking, but equally devastating was the international community's response. The United Nations and world powers ignored clear warnings and withdrew peacekeepers as massacres intensified, representing one of the most catastrophic failures of international intervention in modern history. Number 4, the Atlantic slave trade, 16th through 19th centuries. Over the course of roughly 300 years, approximately 12.5 million Africans were forcibly transported to the Americas. Between 1.8 and 2 million people died during the brutal Middle Passage across the Atlantic, a 10 to 20% mortality rate per voyage. When you include deaths during capture, forced marches to coastal forts, and plantation labor, total deaths reached between 10 and 15 million. This commerce in human beings built the economic foundations of the modern Americas, while entrenching structural racism that persists to this day. The formal trade ended with Britain's abolition in 1807 and Brazil's in 1888, but its legacies continue to shape societies worldwide. Number 3. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, August 6th and 9th, 1945. When the United States dropped Little Boy on Hiroshima and Fat Man on Nagasaki, between 150,000 and 246,000 people died by the end of 1945. Approximately 70,000 died instantly in Hiroshima's initial blast. These remain the only nuclear weapons ever used in warfare. They ended World War II when Japan surrendered on August 15th, but they also introduced nuclear warfare to human history. At Hiroshima, permanent silhouettes of victims were etched on walls where their bodies shielded surfaces from the atomic flash, nuclear shadows that remain today. Generations have since suffered radiation-related illnesses, and the bombings ignited the Cold War arms race that defined the second half of the 20th century. Number 2, the Holocaust, 1941 to 1945. Nazi Germany murdered approximately 6 million Jews, 2/3 of Europe's Jewish population, alongside 5 to 11 million others, including Roma, disabled individuals, Poles, Soviet prisoners of war, and LGBTQ people. Total deaths reached between 11 and 17 million. What makes the Holocaust uniquely horrifying is its industrialized, bureaucratic efficiency. Ghettos, mass shootings by Einsatzgruppen, forced labor, and extermination camps like Auschwitz-Birkenau enabled systematic murder on unprecedented scales. The Holocaust's aftermath produced the Nuremberg trials, the 1948 Genocide Convention, modern human rights law, and the founding of Israel. It forever changed how humanity understands the capacity for organized evil. And number 1, the Black Death, 1347 to 1351. The bubonic plague pandemic killed an estimated 75 to 200 million people globally, wiping out 30 to 60% of Europe's population. The plague arrived in Sicily in 1347 aboard infected merchant ships and spread rapidly along trade routes via fleas on rats, engulfing Europe by 1351. The pandemic scale was so catastrophic that it fundamentally restructured medieval society. Massive depopulation created acute labor shortages that collapsed feudalism, increased wages for survivors, and accelerated the end of the Middle Ages. The plague transformed religious thought, artistic expression, and medical understanding. By percentage of global population killed, the Black Death stands as arguably the single most devastating tragedy in human history, reshaping the entire trajectory of Western civilization. These 10 tragedies remind us of humanity's fragility and remarkable resilience. We study history's darkest chapters not to despair, but to learn. Each of these events changed the world irreversibly, leaving lessons about the consequences of hatred, the importance of preparedness, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. We honor the victims by remembering, by understanding, and by striving to build a world where such catastrophes become increasingly unthinkable.